And welcome to Create With Me with Michele Holden. Nice to see you all waiting in the wings. Though there's only two of us, or two of you. Me, that makes three. That's nice to see. All right. Oh, no. Okay, I can see that I'm on the slant again. It's been a bit of just a tricky start this evening, and that's okay. We will have to make do. This happens once in a while. I'll YouTube, even if I do set it to horizontal, it'll ask you to turn the camera, which it's in its holder above the table. And sometimes I happen to miss that. I don't know why, every once in a while, but we'll make this a short evening. But we are going to explore some inks and drips. Hello, Lexus. Nice to see you. Let's say hi to everybody while I do some last minute setting up. Okay. So, welcome to Create With Me, a gentle space where we slow down, tune in, and make room for meaningful art. And this series of videos is made from quiet moments that I capture in my studio, and I come up with ideas mostly from the previous week. And that's where I came up with this one. When we were doing marks that talk or marks that talk back, we were following those. And then I thought, well, I've really not explored with inks or letting very fluid medium do the talking, take control. How many of you have used acrylic ink or India ink in your work? Apologies again for the sideways view. Yes, and thank you for commenting and participating. Tonight, alongside our usual papers, I'm inviting a slightly different paper. I don't know. At first, I said medical paper, but I'm putting that to the side for now. Because I didn't actually get to explore with it yet, because I was using all of these papers, and I found a good one here on the left. And we're going to just explore ink drops, how it runs, how the paper absorbs, so that you can figure out for yourself which ones you really like, or they work or don't work. So I've got a heavier paper here. This is a cartridge paper. So it's like drawing paper that you would have had in schools. It's very crisp. It's not like cardstock, but the fibers are tight, and it acts more like watercolor paper. Why I didn't want to use watercolor paper for these collage papers, like this one, because it's just so thick. And to me, I just don't like that thickness for a piece of collage paper. We'll also explore a few little book pages. This is the deli. This is mulberry paper. And this is vellum. As you can see, it is so cool. And I even have discovered I just like using it on its own without any marks on it, or very few. So put in the comments if you have explored any papers that our group might find interesting. I also have some rice paper. We're not going to work on that tonight, but I have a ton of examples to show you that I've been working on in my studio. Yes, even though the video is sideways, please hit that like button and please subscribe and leave a comment, because those three things get your name in the draw. And I have a surprise paper to show you, which is the beginning of the collage paper set that will be in the draw at the end of this month. Okay. Have I mentioned everything? Yes, I think I have. So let's get started. I'm going to show you some examples first and how they turned out, talk about those, and then we'll just experiment with some inks. These four here are acrylic inks, and this is the India ink. Which ink do you like or use the most? Do you use an India ink or another kind of ink? Or do you use the acrylic? Yes, medical paper and tissue paper are really awesome. And I purchased those because they're in big sheets in order to use on my canvases as additional layers in my layering process. Acrylic ink is great because it really relates well with acrylic paint, of course. Okay, so I'm going to go through my stack of papers. I forgot to mention newsprint. Now, this was totally unintentional because I used it as a blotter. Now, there's blotter paper, there's printing paper, which I have, and I didn't really include that yet in my group of papers. But look what happened when I was dripping drips, and you'll see that paper coming up, and it just soaked it up, and I thought, wow. So what I did, while the puddles were still there, I used my favorite tool lately is the bamboo skewer, because of the very fine lines that it can make. It's very sensitive to the ink. This is mulberry paper. I ordered this off Temu. This is it untouched. And I'll be demonstrating what I have used, how I've used it yet since. And I like to spray it with a fine spray bottle. And before I like the ink to be soft edged, to run. I like the unpredictability of that technique. So then I sprayed it, blotted it, and this won't stay like this, most likely. I'll add another couple of layers to it. And this is what I call my multi-layered collage papers. This is, what are you? I think you're the rice paper. It is very thin, extremely thin, but it has such a strength to it. So I just use it to create a ghost print off of the jelly plate printer. I didn't do this by hand, but this is where I combine commercial stencils that have organic shapes with my own marks and patterns. So has everybody had a good week? I know things are really crazy with the weather. Up here in Canada, it's coming so soon this winter. Yes, please do that. This will really, if you like this channel, this session, the live now, and then it goes up, it just gets uploaded into my Create With Me live playlist, and then you can still have 48 hours to like it, comment about something, you know, whatever. And then, but you also need to be on the Create With Me list, which is in the comment section below this video. It's below all of the Create With Me videos. I'm in the middle of making those collage papers, so I can't wait to show you. This is good old deli wrap. Off of Amazon, Interfold dry wax paper. I've showed this before, I know, but there's a dry side and a waxy side. And this was ink, and this is my asemic writing. So I'm really liking how my asemic writing is coming along. There's breaks just like you would in any writing. And then I even have an intention, or sometimes I think of something, sometimes I don't. And I'm really liking how that's going to become very translucent. This is the rice paper, and these are the drops that I created. I first started with the very narrow bamboo brush. That's good. But then I found I couldn't really control the spaces between. So I'm using a pipette or a dropper, and that's in craft stores, all sorts of things. But I do plan to experiment with some more art tools to see what happens. I might just leave these because there's something about the rhythm of dots, dashes, lines that I like in my layers, but I like these to be covered up. When you're doing intuitive layering, it's all in the sequencing. So if you're starting with stuff that's just there like marks, you want to put those in the early layers. And you want to bring things that you want to be seen but still covered in the later layers. And you'll learn this with your own sequencing patterns. Okay, I love that this just melts when you put it on. So I'll rip this into sections and use it. This is dyed bamboo paper, also from Temu. I used a writing stencil here. Here it is here on the jelly plate. So you can create papers on and off the jelly plate and then combine. I like combining some organic marks of mine that are under here, and then I use the writing on top. But this is very thin, and this stuff is on the first set of collage papers that I'm making for the draw. This is, let's compare. Yes. This is some more, yes, this is the rice paper. And I love how it just bleeds instantly and everything's so unexpected. And putting this down on some white and then covering it up with a thin veil will look really cool. So you can almost predict what next week might be all about. Creating with some of these papers. This I just wanted to leave. This was just kids' drawing paper. And I thought it might stand up like watercolor does, where it has that crisp edge and then all of the wonderful ink goes in the middle. but it didn't. But this is just a good start, a first layer for a collage paper. Nice. Marlene, I love those temperature numbers there. Are you saying the high 20s Fahrenheit or Celsius? This is just a plain one that I'm going to use, but I like those initial marks, so I kept it. Now I'm going to show you some things I did before I demonstrate. So how's everybody doing? Yes, I love acrylic ink and SWL because the color ranges are so amazing, right? But if you're just exploring just with your marks, very inexpensively on some papers, India ink is still very accessible. Now, these are drops that I made. They're not drops, they're puddles that I created. This is the cartridge paper. This stuff here. And it's old, so it's faded, this beautiful creamy off-white. And as you can see, I've added many layers. I've added the turquoise. Initially, it was those, how do we say this? Ceruleum? Ceruleum. Ceruleum or ceruleum. I'm not good at pronouncing tonight. And then a stencil, which was a ghost print. And then I used, one of my favorite for dots is the back of a fresh pencil. So it's nice and flat. And I like to just use white. I think even off-white would have been better, even more subtle. So I won't do that now. So many layers on this one collage, and it might not be done yet. And I like to leave one side plain, one side with dots, so I have choice. These were puddles with the India ink. No, I think it was the black acrylic, the ivory black. And then I came in after it was dry and used my bottle top to sort of have a contrast of geometric and organic. And then splashed it a little bit with the brush. This is an acrylic ink. It's the ochre. It is raw sienna. Okay, it doesn't look like raw sienna. That's what they're saying it is. I don't think so. Anyway, it's a nice yellow, warm yellow. I use crayon first and then brought my brush across. I'll show you how I do that in a moment. And then used a resist technique. This is the same technique, but I haven't taken it further, but I combined the indigo with the ceruleum. And it really had a beautiful blue. Similar technique, lots of layers here. I don't particularly like this piece of collage, but I'm going to hang in there and put maybe some high contrast stencil on top or even some asemic writing. This is one of my favorites. This was the black and of course this yellow. So I made vertical puddles with a very big brush. This brush, I'll be using this one and this one. I'm finding if you have a brush that can hold a lot of water, then you can really create a cool effect. Oh, yes. Old sewing pattern tissue paper is marvelous because of the lines. I had so many. I used to be quite a sewer. In high school, I made all my own clothes. I made my prom dress. Everything. It was a bunch of girls who we were really into fashion design. And of course, you know, being from the 60s, so I'm a 60s kid where we did everything. And, we're still here to talk about it. How about you guys? I know it's a little off topic, but it's nice to do that. Okay, so dripped, and then again, I used my bamboo skewer. What I would love to put in here is my gold pen is running out. This is one of my favorites. It's the Uniball, and so I'll only do that a little bit. Just trying to show you. Combining dull and metallic, there it is. Especially on a very warm piece of collage. Okay, so before we demonstrate, I'm going to start with the paper that started it off, but I'm just going to use this little piece. This is from a watercolor sketch pad where all the edges are down. So because I used to also be a watercolorist, landscape watercolorist of the beautiful Georgian Bay area, and I still live in this area, and I just love it. But I needed to move on to intuitive abstract art. What about any of you? I just use regular crayons. Where are you? Just Crayola. I know there's some really nice soft wax ones for kids that are really thick, and I think I've seen Nicholas Wilton use those, and need to try. There's so many other materials that I have so much. I just been holding off purchasing more, just trying to stick to using what I have. I hope that answered your question, Lexus, about the crayons. Okay, so I forgot to change my water, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go we're gonna do circles here. And I find doing one row at a time better, just because, but let's see, this paper probably will hold out just nicely. Okay, so instead of using the brush, let's experiment just with the pipette. Okay. Oops. So you can get a lot of water on your paper, but that's okay. We're just going to go with the flow tonight. That's what I'm trying to get to. And what I like to do to soak up things, I just use a brush, but I don't want to interfere in the edges too much anyway. Okay. So you can use an edge of a paper towel. And then, of course, this needs a lot more drying time before you can come back in and do something else to it. And then you'll need to, not have to, let it dry flat so the puddles stay inside. Okay, so that's the watercolor paper. Now let's see what the cartridge paper can do before we get to the fancier papers. I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush this time. Actually, I'm going to use my large flat brush, and now we're going to do those. Now there is a little blue just because of my water here is not absolutely clean, which I really like to have. Let's use and now I'm just going to use the yellow right from the dropper. So you can only imagine what kind of patterns you can make, collage papers, just letting things happen. And I like that blue in there. So you know what we're gonna do? Let's try it. This was totally unplanned, but now we're using primaries. We're not just sticking to monochromatic or limited. Let's see if I put that blue in there and in there. We're going to get a mixture of greens, and I'm going to tilt them. But I want the ink to stay within that puddle. And we're just having fun. I find it very mesmerizing. How about you? So I want to have maybe some mauves, some greens. And you can experiment with different amounts of water. And of course, on different papers, things are going to happen differently, depending on the absorption of the paper, its fibers. Whoop. Okay, so I'll come back. Actually, no, I want to do one more demo with this. Using the bamboo skewer, I just want to go. So it's sort of, like connection, like a visual metaphor. And I can take some ink in there, rub it around. This is drying up here already. So it's very, and now I'm putting it more on its side. And this is so cool. So you can take it farther, not, depending on what effect you are looking for. So that's pretty cool. This is, as you can see, the fibers in this paper. It is so beautiful. I'm going to move this paper to the side. And what I've been doing lately is spritzing it with some water. Just a little bit. Yes, Chef B. Inspiration comes in waves. You just got to catch the next one. I had a day like that the last couple of days, and I found I just needed to rest. As you can see, or might be slightly aware of, running a channel, creating my own art, doing a live a week, a video a week, and then next is to get my Facebook groups back going again, because I just miss it. So now that it's wet slightly, let's see. I think we're going to use indigo and a very thin brush, and I'm going to experiment with the thin brush, dip the bamboo skewer, and just use the dropper. And I just want to make lines, adjusting the pressure. Now I'm just using the very tip. And I want my distances to vary. And I might even come in with a double line. I need, my rhythm is very organic, unplanned, intuitive, all of that stuff. So you'll find that you'll resonate with something different. I usually put a placemat underneath, but that's okay. So let's see. These are just little notches. And I don't want them everywhere. I just want them in a couple of rows. Can everybody hear me all right? Sometimes during my sessions here, I get into my work and I go, oh yeah. So I notice I had to do this a bit more. Pull it. And now the mark is just more there. These sort of remind me of birds on a wire, or I don't know. What does it remind you of? Ah, yes. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. Now the vellum is a bit different. Has anyone here worked with vellum paper? I've used it with lots of dry art tools, dry medium, I should say. The wet medium, it likes to curl up a lot, and then it releases after it starts drying. So it's a bit different that way. I'm just going to use this nice piece of paper as my placemat. Now, let's see what some puddling would look like. So we have some nice mauves starting already because of the red, but I'm going to use the red. See how it likes to curl? So, knowing that ahead of time, taping down your corners will definitely help. So I just like to use a bit of the acid-free tape. It also stops it from moving. And then when I'm done with the paper, I can lift the whole thing up and then go set it nice and flat so everything stays close to what I've done. Okay, let's see what another ink would look like. Let's use this. We'll use black this time. So notice it moves on the surface even differently. So I'm going to put some black in with the red because I just don't want the red to be, I want it to relate a little bit. So it's slicker. It's riding on the surface a lot more. Oh, crayons are incredible. You really can use them as resist, as mark making on their sides. You can pick up texture from the outside with rubbing. Crayons are amazing. I always found my students, as a teacher, retired now, almost insulted because they have to use crayons. Especially the older kids. You know how they can be. When that's exactly what they needed. Okay. So I'm going to use the pipette again. And so this is all buckling up, but I find after the vellum dries, it settles down, and then I need to put it, after it's thoroughly dry, put a book on top and flatten it. Once you glue it down on a surface, it's flat and fine. Okay, let's see what this India ink will do on vellum. I've not used it on vellum yet. Wow. Okay, I think I found a match. Now look how different it is compared to the acrylic, which is above. It's made a little differently. Different binding. Okay, so that's a little bit of an experiment. We'll put that to the side. Our colorful one is looking really interesting, and I'm liking what's happening. So after it's dry, who knows what I'll do with it. I've got some book pages. And with book pages, I don't know, there's something, I love to use a bold mark with black. It just, to me, it just goes so well. And I've been using paint, so let's see what this looks like. So that soaks right in. It doesn't leave many marks that I like with the acrylic paint. So I'm going to do one beside here. I've got my Mars Liquitex fluid. I was using it today. And I just wanted to do this so we can compare. It's another one of my favorite bamboo brushes. So I like to get them damp. And that's the ink. This is the paint. What I like is that it's black. It's a true black. It picks up more nuances. The texture, the paint is thick and stays on the surface with a visual and physical texture, where the ink just soaks in, but not to say that it isn't useful or interesting. It's more like a shadow. So both are very interesting. And what I like to do is also combine the ink and the paint. And I'll echo something like that. Or I might even put my favorite dash lines with my thin brush. And I notice I have to slow down with my brush in order to get that oval, that almond shape that I like. Not just a rushed mark. And that's where the meaningful comes in. Meaningful doesn't need to be like a dictionary meaning or with words. It's actually exactly your mark. See, and I like, look at that dry deer and the words. I just love text in my work. You could combine this with white. You could have a whole collection of your text papers with black, black and white, white on black. And so speaking about collage papers, because I think I'm going to wrap it up now, I'm going to show you just the beginning. If you signed up, leave a comment and hit the like button. Hopefully share it. That's not one of the criterias, though. The collage papers This is one of them. This is the beginning. This is the first one I've made. It's multi-layered, has collage on collage, golden tissue paper. I also love to use the Distress mica spray in copper and gold. I also like alcohol inks and just dropping those. It's sort of, I don't want too many, but I might just add a couple more. And then, while you're making your collage papers, you're also practicing, you're exploring your layering. So it was this, just craft paint. There's nothing wrong with using, this is Craft Smart at Michael's. I really love this. It's called Rain. So I'll get the larger bottle next time, along with, I use Golden, Liquitex. Orange would have been 2. I'm just sort of in a calm kind of state. So we'll stick to the turquoises. Unbleached titanium, yellow oxide, and a dark turquoise, but not a bright orange. Will maybe as a hero color. So this is going to be the palette for the collage paper set in the draw. But in order to get many more, so at least, so you'll have a main one, transparent collages, some black and white, just a really nice set to send you on your way to start your new collage papers. So give me a thumbs up if you're liking this palette. Oh, Maggie, you just said you played with the rice paper today. That's awesome. Did you just use marks? Did you use your jelly plate? Rice paper is so thin, but it can really handle the jelly plate printer. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Before we leave tonight, everyone who's in liking this palette, if you leave a heart, just a red heart, and then I can write and you need to be signed up for the Create With Me series though. Then I'll check, see if your name's in there, and add you to the list of the draw. So leave a red heart, hit the like button, subscribe, and we will keep creating in the Create With Me live series. Okay, thank you, Chef B. And I know I will check and see. So what we'll do is I will check all the hearts tonight, and then on my Create With Me list, your name needs to be there, and then it'll be in the draw. I can't wait to create the rest of the papers. It's going to be very fun. And of course, you're going to tear this up. I might cut it in half at first to start you off on your letting go process. Okay. Yeah, heart. The word heart or a red heart. Red heart's great for my eyes because I can see that it's right by your name. Easy to see in the comments. Oh, I know, turquoise blue is my favorite. The dark and the light, but both together, you get that patina, kind of that antique-y kind of feel. I think that's why I love it so much. Yes, I forgot. Yes, the heart is in your emoji section. When you're leaving a comment, you'll see the happy face. You click on the happy face, and then all of the emojis come up, and the heart should be there at the beginning. Even if you just say the word heart, that'll do. So thank you for being with me. This is wonderful. I think we're growing, and that's a good thing. I knew that the ink tonight would be a little on the messy side, but keep exploring your own acrylic inks and let us know how it goes. Let's see, I just want to make sure I said everything. Yes, so some of the ink papers will be in the collage paper set as well, as long as they're so cohesive. So I will be using that color palette in different ways, but no matter how you use it, they'll all go together and they'll be cohesive. And that's the whole point. Okay, so I think I'll let everybody go. Thank you again for spending some time with me. And I will see you next week, where we'll take some of these papers and maybe do some artwork with them. And I'll show you the next bunch of collage papers for the draw. So have a good night and happy creating.